Hey everybody, it's Dan, your friendly fishmonger at dansfish.com. I have a bunch of neat fish to show you today. We're going to start some odds and ends and oddballs, and then we'll get to some Corydoras. We have a ton of Corys and a ton of neat plecos. So let's start here. This is one of my favorites. You all know I like killifish. This is one of the very first killifish I ever bred and raised. This is a Aeneus mento from Sunken. The males turn jet black. The females stay kind of, colorless, kind of just light brown. But the males, man, they are super, super pretty. They turn into they look like, almost like an Astrolabius nigropenis or something like that. Or they also remind me of some of the little pygmy sunfish out of Florida and Georgia. Look at that guy, he's all colored up. I bet that mop's full of eggs. I bet if we pulled that mop, we would see a whole bunch of eggs. In fact, let's do that. Hang on a second. So here's their mop, and I don't know if you can see it, but down on the bottom here, there's a whole bunch of itty bitty eggs, such as that right there, and that, and here's a whole cluster of them, bunch of little baby killifish eggs. So easy fish. So obviously a very easy to fish, obviously a very easy fish to breed. And these guys eat everything, flakes, pellets, whatever. They're a killifish, but they're not picky whatsoever. That's a Aeneus mento Sunken, spelled kind of like that if I did my job right. All right. Now the next fish I'm going to show you, I actually don't think belongs in the hobby. I don't think most people can give it a good home. It grows big, it swims fast, and it's vicious. But I've got some. I didn't order them, they just showed up in the order. And that is this fish right here. This is Dorado. Now I don't know which species it is. There are 4 species in that genus. I don't know if it's Braziliensis, which is the golden Dorado, or something else. They came from Colombia. What I ordered was something called a tail spot tetra, which is a peaceful little fish that gets about 4 inches. What I got was 3 to 4 inch Dorado. So, this is not a fish that I would normally sell, but since I have them, we've got them healthy. They're fat and happy. They're mean to each other though. You'll see lots of nips on the fins and things. You have to feed them very frequently or they'll absolutely destroy each other. The good news is we pellet trained them. They're very easy to feed. So these are vibrobites. I'm just going to throw some vibrobites up there, and they'll eat that without any problem. So it's not hard to feed them, but these guys get huge. They're beautiful, they're interesting. If you have a monster tank you can put them in, or a pond or something really big, then please consider them, because I have to find homes for them. I did not mean to get this fish. Sometimes in this industry you order something and you get something completely different. But that's the story. Take a good look though, because we'll try to never get these again. I really like them. I think they're fantastic. I just don't think your average hobbyist can house one of these once it gets full grown. But there you go. Nice healthy Dorado. Some nips out of them just because they're so nippy at each other, right? But doing well. This is a tank of swordtail characins, or swordtail tetras. They get very long extensions on the tail and on the anal fin, and they're a super interesting fish. They're one of the few tetras that breeds via internal fertilization. So they breed like a live bearer, like a guppy, or a swordtail, or platy, or molly, or something like that. However, they do not give birth to live young. So the male will inseminate the female, and then later on she'll drop fertile eggs. They're really interesting. They have this really long filament off the end of their gill, and when they're feeling frisky, it develops this enlarged end. It looks like almost like a little pom-pom on the end. The first time I saw that, I thought we had anchor worms. So it looks almost like an anchor worm with a really long stalk and pom-poms on the end instead of 2 egg sacs. First time I ever saw it, I thought it was a parasite, and I actually tried to pull it off. Later I found out that that's just part of the fish's reproductive system, and I felt really bad. But supposedly what it does is supposedly that pom-pom on the end of that long frond that sticks off of their gill supposedly releases hormones that attract females or helps in the spawning process. And it gets really long. It gets so long it comes off the gill that the little pom-pom hangs on the body between the dorsal fin and the anal fin. So it goes like, I don't know, 3/4, 2/3 of the way across the fish. Anyway, super interesting for a charasin or a tetra. You don't see them very often. Not a ton of color, but really interesting finnage. Got that neat reproductive filament with the pom-pom on the end, and interesting behavior. And they do get a yellow sword on the tail, and they do get a little bit of maroon in the anal fin. If someone ever took the time to like line breed these like guppies, I bet we'd get something absolutely fantastic. That's what Random Arms thinks anyway. Anyway, doing great, eating everything, not picky at all. And if you need something for the surface of your tank, they tend to hang out more or less in the upper third of the aquarium. So these little beauties are glassed headstanders. Now, they're not related to the spotted headstanders very closely. They're both characins, but they're very different fish. These are more, I want to say a little more predatory maybe. I don't think they'll bother anything they can't, fit in their mouth or anything like that, but really unique little fish. Does stand on its head, is kind of glassy, so the name makes sense, but if you have spotted headstanders and things like that, just know they're quite different than those fish. But they eat everything, they're not picky. I think they're going to be really easy to keep. If you want something, super unique, these are definitely super unique for sure. I just enjoy watching them. They're so interesting. I mean, not your average charasin. Okay, here we have some splash tetras. Anytime I see something called a splash tetra available, I always order it. You never know what you're going to get when you do that. So I've got some interesting things, but I like the entire group, all of the splash tetra and the closely related fish. These ones, we're not sure exactly what the species are. They have fine spots all over the body. On a few of them that are feeling dominant, those fine spots turn into kind of a stripe. So, not exactly sure which species. There's a lot of species, but they're doing great. They're a cool splash tetra. They're eating everything, not picky at all. And just another unique fish. If you don't know how these breed, they're called a splash tetra because they jump out of the water onto a leaf hanging from a tree, let's say, and they adhere the eggs to that leaf above the water, fall back into the water, and when they're done, the male sits underneath that leaf and splashes the eggs with water until they hatch. So that's why they're called the splash tetra. They have a really neat reproductive mode. All right, in this tank we have Corydoras tucano. This is one you don't see, well, ever, actually. This is my first time seeing it. These come out of Brazil, and I'm just thrilled to see them in person. So they call them like the three-spotted, I think, or three-banded Cory. But who knows, common names are really messy. They're doing fantastic. Eating pellets. They also like their bloodworm snacks, their frozen foods, but they'll eat carnivore pellets and things like that. Corydoras tucano. Hopefully they're nice and in focus for you. Look at that unique pattern. My first time with these, and I'm thrilled to see them. Okay, I want to show you the Corydoras axelrodi. They're in here with some kind of agassizii looking ones, but the ones with the horizontal stripe down the body, and then again a dark horizontal stripe kind of up on the dorsal surface, those are the axelrodi. And for Herbert Axelrod, if you remember that guy, back in the day, TFH publications, all those magazines and stuff, I kind of got started breeding fish by going to the local library and checking out Herbert Axelrodi's series on breeding aquarium fish. It's kind of, I know a lot of people have a lot of problems with the guy, the way he conducted business and stuff, but I never knew him personally. I just read all his stuff and it helped kind of get me going. So there they are, the Corydoras named for Herbert Axelrod. Here's another really neat Cory. This is Corydoras maculatus, the spot tail Cory, if you will. They remind me a lot of a panda Cory. Difference is they have that bold spot back at the base of the tail. One you don't see very often. Glad to have these too. There's a lot of Corys that just haven't been available for, geez, years, and are now coming available again. So it's really exciting for me to get them in and see them in person again. I'm trying to think of what they remind me of. A simulus. They have like the spotting a little bit of a simulus. Yeah, anyway, you're not going to mistake them for anything else. I do not know what that little guy is. This little guy, if anyone knows what that is a mystery that came in with the Corydoras CW27. Oh, now he's hiding back there. Anyway, if you know what that little guy was, that little guy right there, I'd be interested to know. Okay, we have some Corydoras sterbai here, but these are not your normal aquarium strain sterbai. These are different. These sterbai come from the wild. They were collected in the Pantanal area, and so if you want some wild blood in your sterbai, you know, they're got some crook spines, your breeding project needs some new blood in it. These are wild, so that would be a good injection of fresh genes for you. And they eat very well. They're doing fantastic. In fact, here's a bunch of them over here murdering a pellet. I love watching it. I love how they just mob up on it. In fact, maybe I need to drop a couple more pellets in there. I think that, yeah, they could use some more. But anyway, nice group, nice, really healthy, robust group of wild Corydoras sterbai from the Pantanal region. Alright, here's one I'm very excited about, and I know I say that about a lot of fish, so I have to clarify when I really am excited. I really am excited about these. These are Corydoras C28, the super schwarzei. This is an undescribed species. It doesn't have a scientific name yet. In the hobby we call it super schwarzei, CW28. And they're big, they're bulky, they're robust, they have really neat pattern on them. They're expensive, sorry, but so neat to see a nice group of these together doing so well. They're doing great. These guys are eating well, doing fantastic. I know they're kind of swimming midwater right now, but don't worry, they're not doing that thing sick Corys do where they go up in a corner and just hang midwater the whole time. They're just exploring right now. Anyway, Corydoras super schwarzei. So excited to see these guys. Sorry, I'm just going to take a little longer just because I like them so much. Hopefully no one here is like a Corydoras hater that's just like, move on, because I'm enthralled. Alright, we'll move on. Well, here's one. It's not a Cory. We'll take a quick break from the Corys and get back to them in just a second. This is a Satanoperca aperatensis, I think is how you say it. These are full grown. I mean, the biggest ones here are 6-7 inches. I don't know if they get bigger than this. And they're fantastic. They used to be thought of as a geophagus. They're very similar in behavior and feeding mannerisms. So if you're familiar with geophagus, or what we call a jurapari, they're very similar to those. If you look at the floor, you'll see all these pits they've dug, all these circles where they've kind of dug out the substrate. That's how they feed. They go around, they take mouthfuls of sand, and they sift it through their gills and pull out the food as they sift it. So that's how they feed, just like a geophagus or an earth eater. Anyway, lots of color, lots of white fine spangles on them, light blue faces, and I just think they're fantastic. We did have a pair lip locking, and it didn't look like combat. It looked like bonding. So I won't be able to sex them for you or get that pair, but they're definitely in the mood, if you will, to spawn. Anyway, there you have it. Satanoperca. So back to the Corydoras. Here is a group of Corydoras aeneus. And I know Corydoras aeneus are quite common and all that, but these are true aeneus from Trinidad. They're nice and big. Some of these are pushing 3 inches. So they're nice, big, true aeneus. The aeneus in the hobby, they've been hybridized and all that so much that they're no longer what you would call a true aeneus. If you did a DNA test on them, you'd probably find they'd been mixed with quite a few other things. But these are the actual ones. So that's kind of the claim to fame on these. If you're new to Corydoras and you want one that will almost certainly thrive for you, one that's easy to breed, out and about, personable, Just a good starter Cory. I would recommend these. They are not difficult at all. They eat everything and they're super hardy. So, Corydoras aeneus. Alright, here's Corydoras cervinus. This is one of the long-nosed forms. It's got a nice long snout hanging off these guys. It's the Gonzo from the Muppets. Big snouted Cory. Neat one, another one you don't see very often, another Brazilian species. And again, just I'm geeking out on all these neat Corys that you hardly ever see. So Corydoras cervinus. Okay, here's another one that I'm very excited about. This is Corydoras robustus. It's one you just don't see. You know it's robustus because that dark spot up through the dorsal goes up in the middle of the dorsal fin, and there's clear areas in front of it and behind it. That's how you know that it's the robustus. It's got all those nice spots on it. These guys, these guys are 3 inches. Right around there, give or take a bit. These are big monster Corys. It's about as big as they get. And they're doing fantastic, neat pattern, really neat size. I love the dorsal fin, how the front of the dorsal fin is bright and contrasts with the dark stripe up the dorsal fin. Anyway, just one that I was so thrilled to get, and I'm so thrilled is doing well. By the way, they will eat that pellet there. They also really like bloodworms. Corydoras robustus. Alright, another rare Corydoras. This is a small one. This is Corydoras evelynae. And according to Planet Catfish, they only get about 1.5 inches. Now, Scott's Cat says that they get about 2 inches or so. Don't know for sure. Don't know if these are just juveniles and they'll get bigger or not, but potentially a smaller Cory. You'll have to do some research and decide for yourself. Different sources say different things, but really cute. They remind me a bit of a skunk Cory, but they have more spotting in the skunk stripe instead of it's a less of a solid stripe and kind of more broken up, I guess you would say. They're easy to feed, as you can see, chowing down on that pellet, and just a nice group of these Corydoras evelynae. Just a quick shot of the 75 gallons now that they all have fish in them. So nice to walk down here and see all these tanks with fish. It's been a long time coming. Look at that. Anyway, it keeps going. I won't go down the whole way, but just thought I'd show you that. Okay, back to the Corys. Here we have another really special Cory, another one of the giant type Corys. This is CW27. Large guy, lots of fine spots on them. Have that black on the dorsal fin. You can tell from robustus because the black on the dorsal fin goes up the front of the dorsal fin instead of through the middle. And then you have that gold spot right in front of the dorsal fin, which reminds me a bit of a dolphoi or duplicarius. Anyway, doing fantastic. They're all in there eating that pellet until I scared them with the camera. So they're eating really well. They like pellets. Bloodworms are a special treat though. I like to rotate in frozen foods in the diet from time to time just to give them a treat, maybe some black worms, stuff like that, and vary their diet up a bit. But anyway, there you go. That's Corydoras CW27, another one that you're not likely to see very often. And big. I'd say 2.5 inches, these guys. Not quite as big as the robustus, but still good size. 2 inches at least, maybe pushing 2.5. Anyway, tanks. Here's another tank of the aeneus we have. This is the true aeneus. Just they looked good in here. Somehow the light with the sand, I thought that maybe this was a better view of them. Big group murdering a pellet over there. A group in the back murdering a pellet, and there's a group in this corner here murdering another pellet. They're really good eaters. In this shot, you can kind of see why they call them the bronze Cory. You see that bronze color coming through. They also sometimes call them the green Cory, and you can see why as well. But anyway, they're Corydoras aeneus. That's what they're truly called. Here we have another skunk Cory. This is Corydoras arcuatus. You can tell why they're called the skunk Cory. They have that black stripe on the white body. I believe these are the true arcuatus. There's different, lots of different cories in the skunk cory complex. So I'm not an expert on cories by any means. I'm no Ian Fuller, but from what I've researched on Corydoras World and the rest, I believe these are the true arcuatus. If there's something else, let me know if you're a cory expert watching this video. Really cool bold pattern though. These are what I have in my 125 gallon show tank. I've had a group of these for years and years, and I just love them. I love that skunk pattern. It's just super cute. Alright, here's some Hoplo cats out and about and looking for food. They remind me of like a miniature giraffe cat, if you like the giraffe cat out of Africa. Or as my nephew said earlier today, they remind me of a lobster with those big, feelers sticking out the front. Anyways, nice healthy batch of Hoplos. Haven't lost any that I'm aware of, and fat and sassy, eating everything. These guys eat literally everything. Frozen, they don't care. Live, they don't care. Prepared foods, flakes, whatever. As long as it hits the bottom, they'll eat it. And if you don't know, this is a really interesting catfish. So to breed, believe it or not, they build a bubble nest like a betta. They build a bubble nest up at the surface, and that's what they lay the eggs in, which is strange. You'd think a catfish would spawn on the bottom, but nope. These guys spawn up at the top. Look at that right there. Little catfish kisses. Aww. Alright, a couple other odds and ends. These are the pike cichlid. Now these guys are supposed to stay smaller. This is Crenicycla ji. They're supposed to only, get around 6-7 inches, somewhere in that range. Maybe a little smaller. So that's why we got them, because, we don't usually deal with monster fish. And they're doing fantastic. They're looking good. But there's a disclaimer on these. I don't know if you can see it, and I don't want to scare them, but you might see some white spots on the body of that one. And you might see them on this one as well. Now that's not ick. Some of that's just sand stuck to the fish. But there are some white spots on those. And what we believe those are is a two-stage parasite. They don't move. We've been watching these closely for a while. Those parasites haven't moved location. They aren't reproducing. They haven't changed at all. And they aren't responding to any medication, those white spots. So what we think we have here is a two-stage parasite. There's lots of these out in nature, and these are wild collected fish. It's a parasite where it only becomes active if it's eaten in stomach acid. So, for example, if there was a little fish that these guys ate, then what would happen is the parasite would go into the pike cichlid's stomach. It would dissolve the cyst enclosing the little parasite. The parasite would reproduce, infect this dwarf pike cichlid. By the way, that guy coming out of the pipe right now, I think he's a different species. But most of these are the dwarf pike cichlids. Anyway, that parasite would become active in this pike cichlid, reproduce in it, and establish in this pike cichlid. Then it would encyst again and remain dormant until the cichlid was eaten by a bird or something. So the way these parasites work is they only become active when the animal in which is hosting them is digested. So we think this will be totally safe, that if you got these and put them in your tank, as long as another fish doesn't eat these, that the fish can live the rest of its life with these white spots on there. And if we're correct in diagnosing them, not a veterinarian, but this is typically what these tend to be in these cases. Here's this other species right here. Check that guy out. If we're correct that this is one of those two-stage parasites, then these fish will live their entire lives. Those little parasites will stay in the fish, encysted. They won't hurt the fish. They won't harm the fish. They won't reproduce. They won't infect any other fish until these fish get eaten. So as long as that doesn't happen, everything should be okay. So that's what we think's going on here. So because of that, we have these listed for sale at half off. It might not hurt to have a quarantine tank ready for them from the get-go, just so that you can look at them and make your own judgment call. But we've been watching them carefully and haven't noticed those white spots move or change at all. They don't respond to any medication, so we think they're an encysted parasite. That's our best guess. And by the way, if anyone knows what that other species is that was poking its head out right here, it doesn't have the black pattern on it. If anyone knows what that one is, come on out, buddy, so we can see it. This guy coming out under the flower pot lid and going behind the pipe there. We would love to know, because I think that's a different species that came in as a contaminant with these guys. Anyway, those are the pike cichlids. An absolute favorite, the Redhead cichlid. I think they call them the Redhead Tapajos, Redhead geophagus. I don't know if these ones are from Tapajos, so I shouldn't say that. But check them out. Pearly scales, funny bump on the head, nuchal hump that turns bright red. Blue lips, like look at that. Look at those blue lips on that guy. Peaceful disposition. I know you're seeing that guy chase some of them around, but if you notice, there's no ripped fins or anything like this. And these guys are another earth eater. You can see all the pits in the sand that they've dug in as they've searched for food. And they eat everything. They're super easy. Flakes, pellets, wafers, live, frozen, they don't care. Just if you're getting into earth eaters, geophagus, gymnogeophagus, Satanoperca, those kinds of things for the first time, this might not be a bad one to start with. They're interesting looking and fairly simple and not too expensive. All right, we're going to get to the plecos now. That's the last group of fish we'll show you on this tour. We have some really neat plecos. What we're going to do here is some health checks. So we want to check their bellies. We want to make sure they're okay. They've been eating well, acting well. We think they're in great shape. But before we sell a fish, we want to just get in there, check it out, and make sure everything looks okay. So we'll take you along for that ride because you'll see some close-ups of them that you normally wouldn't see because they're usually, they're plecos. They hide a lot. And we don't want to disturb them for no reason just to make a video. So let's go check the health of some plecos. All right, so the first ones are some blue pinocs that we'll take a look at. The L239. And I've caught one here. And what I'm going to do is just check their belly, make sure they're eating well, check for general health. We don't usually take our fish out and mess with them, but we do when we're just doing a final check before we sell them. I don't know if it's going to show up in the picture, but the edge of the fins are blue, the edge of the tail fin and the dorsal fin on these, and the body has it's dark, but there's a blue tinge to it. That's why it's called the blue pinoc. So I'm just going to take him out here and look at his belly and make sure that we're okay. And yeah, oh dang it. I'll do it like this. Here, we'll keep you in the water. Yeah, he looks great. So his belly's nice and fat. He's been eating well. I don't see any signs of distress. I don't see like red around his anus or around his mouth or anything. So he should be good to go. So we'll let him go now. It's just a brief health check here. Make sure he's okay. And let me see if I can get a couple out you can see the blue on. I don't know if it's going to show up on camera, but there's a definite blue tinge to those fins, which is how they get their common name. Down on the edge of the caudal fin especially. But when they raise the dorsal, it's there as well. Anyway, those are the blue pinocs. L239s. All right, now we're going to look at some rubber lip plecos, Chiatosoma species. We're not sure which species exactly. Lots of dots on them. See that? Lots of spots on these guys. So if you know which species this is, if you wouldn't mind chiming in, letting us know, we would appreciate the info. We're going to do a health check on these, so let's pull one out and check, see how it's doing. All right, so here are a bag full of rubber lip plecos, or rubber nose plecos, or I don't know, some people call them bulldog plecos. I'm trying to be really gentle and careful with them. Okay, I got one here. Lots of spotting on that guy. Let's check his belly and his mouth and the rear end. Make sure we're okay. He's sucking on me so much I can't flip him over. His defense is to suck harder. All right, there we come here, buddy. Okay, there we go. Okay, that belly's okay. We could get more food in them though. He's not emaciated, he's not sunken or anything, but I'm going to make a note to up the food on these guys. But they are gaining weight back from import, so I think they're doing okay, and I don't see any red around on them. So these are right there. They're ready to go. We just want to start feeding them a little more. All right, come here, you. At the very end, I'll show you guys a pleco that does have a sunken belly, so you can see the difference. We talk about sunken belly a lot. There's a difference between a pleco that hasn't eaten since yesterday versus one that has sunken belly due to it's not eating and it's probably got something else going on, robbing it of energy. So the last thing we'll do when we're done this video is show you that so you can see something to compare it to. All right, these are Ancistrus bushy nose, common bushy nose. I expect they'll be just fine. Bushy nose are super easy. All right, let's check you here. Yeah, see that guy? So he looks good. He's got a nice, well, did you catch that? We'll check another one. We'll do two. These aren't huge. I'd say 1.5 to 2 inches, right around there. Come here, buddy. How you doing? Yeah, he's got good weight to him. If you would stay, they don't like to be flipped over, as you can imagine. Okay, yeah, good weight. No redness or swelling or anything. Looks good. Looks like a normal bushy nose to me. Alright guys, so these are the L200s, the green phantoms. We have quite a few, so I might check a couple of these guys. And I'm real excited about these. I like green phantoms a lot. These have been eating absolutely everything we've been putting in the tank, so I'll be very, very surprised if they're anything but really bulky. Yeah, that's good. So I don't know if it's showing on camera, but that's a nice, fairly rotund belly, especially for someone that probably hasn't eaten since last night. It's now getting on to the evening of the next day. Yeah, it looks good. Mouth looks good. Everything looks fine. Let me just check his fins and stuff here while I've got him. Just such a neat looking fish. I've always liked these guys. Let me do one more. All right, here's how you catch some plecos. There we go. That's the way. All right, come here, you monster. No, another monster. All right, we're working on it. I give up. We'll go to this guy. All right, there you go. That is a good-looking belly. That was even fatter than the last one. Look at that. And the fins on this one are perfect. That looks good. All right, there we go. Green phantom, all his fins look good. Yep, I think they're all good. So I'm gonna put them back and not disturb them again. Sorry guys, don't worry. It won't happen to you until we have to sell you. This is an Ancistrus. We got these because they were labeled as 183s. I don't think they are. They're different. They're really cool, but I don't think they're 183s. So this is one of the smaller ones. If you look at the underside, see all those tiny little white spots? Yeah, this one's gained quite a bit of weight. Mouth looks good, belly looks good. I think this one's good to go. Lots of tiny, fine white spots all over this guy. So I don't know what the L number is. The bag came unlabeled. It was supposedly, when I bought it, they said a 183. I don't think it's a 183, but if someone here knows plecos, I've done a dorsal ray count. The soft fin rays, I believe, are 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe just 6 soft dorsal rays. Don't know. Don't know what these guys are. But I'd like to know because they were pretty pricey. So I'd like to sell them as something other than generic spotted bushy nose or generic spotted Ancistrus. But with all these plecos, you don't want to sell it as the wrong thing. You don't want to claim it's a 183 or something and then it's not. That's the last thing you want to do. So anyway, any help would be appreciated on those. All right, so we've got a few here. Just show you some different ones. Here's one. We're gonna let it go. See the pattern on him? Let's get the net out of the way so you get some light. So that's a smallish one. Here's a medium-sized one. It's pretty large. There you go. And this is the one we'll check. This is the largest one I think we have, just so you can see the difference. This guy's got to be 5-6 inches. 5 inches. Okay, tummy looks really good. Well, he's the king, so he's been eating super well. Look at that. And the pattern is quite different than that little guy we looked at earlier. Look at this bump on the top. That's why I think he's a vampire pleco. He's got that vampire pleco species, kind of that bump on his top. But really pretty. All right, we'll let him go now. He looks good in every way. So, all right. There you go, buddy. All right, see all those tails sticking out? Those are a bunch of ranger plecos. What we tried to get was the small one. So there's a ranger pleco species that is small, like a mini snowball or an ocelot, a 471 or a 174. It's supposed to only get around 2 inches or so. That's what we think these are, but there are some species of ranger plecos that get quite a bit bigger than that. So we're not quite sure exactly what we have, to tell you the truth. What we ordered were the small ones. So that's what we hope we have. I'm going to do a check on a couple of these. So hopefully this guy here is about full grown. How are you looking, buddy? Oh, that's a fat belly. I can tell he's been chowing down. He's got some food in there. Check his belly out. Nice and rotund. You gonna show me your fins? He's like, I don't want to show you my fins. Okay, we'll put you back and see if we can find another one that'll show us his fins. So that's the biggest one. Let's also do the smallest one. Let's make sure the little guys are eating well too. Okay, here's a little one. How are you looking, buddy? It's like I'm gonna suck on your finger. He's so small, I almost hate to handle him at all. But I do want to check, make sure he's okay. Yeah, he's got a nice rotund belly. He's looking good. Alright, so big ones have good bellies, small one has good bellies. I'm gonna imagine that the rest of these have good bellies too. Let's do one more. Just to check. Sorry guys, I know my hands are in the way. I'll get them out of the way in just a moment. Trying to be super gentle. Yeah, look at that. He's eating like a champ. Okay. All right. I think we're good. So that's all the ones that we're about to list for sale. Now that we've checked them, they look good. But I want to show you one that we aren't able to list for sale. We're just having trouble with this. You can see the difference between what healthy plecos look like when you flip them over and stuff versus the 168s, which unfortunately are not doing well. So let's go look at those guys. All right, so here we have a group of L168s, the butterfly plecos. We've had these for a while. They're just not eating well. They're out and about during the day a lot, which makes me think they're hungry, but we haven't been able to get them to eat well. We've tried carnivore pellets, we've tried algae wafers, we've tried bloodworms. We have zucchini in there, and they're chewing on it a little bit, but zucchini's not, got a lot of fat and protein in it or anything, so it's not a great meal. It's just something to kind of tide them over. So I just want to check these guys. I think what we're going to see is just a big problem. A big sunken belly is my guess. Yeah, I can already see it. So you remember that rubber lip that didn't have like a big rotund belly? You might be, that's sunken. No, this is sunken. See all that definition? I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but I can actually see a lot of, let me hold him under the water. I can see like a lot of lines and stuff in there. It's almost like I can see a skeleton protruding through. Although it's probably not that, it's probably veins or internal organs. See that kind of triangle pattern starting here and going out here and out here with several small triangles in it? That's super emaciated. So this is one example, and how it's indented all the way to the anus. So it's not just like it's skinny here, it's skinny through the whole underside of the fish until the armor kicks in. So these guys are in trouble. We've tried everything. We've tried lots of medication and stuff, and we'll keep trying. But it doesn't look good for these guys. So that's the difference. Let's look at one more. See, yeah, he's having a hard time. You got it. Even just riding himself. Yeah. So I hate to show you guys stuff that's sad like this, right? Generally, we want to show you the happy stuff. But the reason I'm doing this is often we'll have people that are concerned that they have sunken belly, and then we'll see the fish or take a picture or video or something, and it's obviously not. It's just the fish hasn't eaten in a few days or something like that. Versus these. So I'm just showing this to try to show you what true sunken belly looks like. It's different. Okay. Now, hopefully I find one that doesn't have a sunken belly, that is, no, that guy's got a sunken belly for sure. Come here, buddy. I gotta get a grip on him. Ah, it's a nice male. Hopefully you can see that triangle pattern. The top is here, and then it goes out to this side and out to this side. And again, it's sunken right up. Let's see here. Right up until the armor starts post-anus, basically, or right before the anus there. Can't tell if that's pre or post, but the whole underside of the fish is really emaciated. And we're not quite sure what else to try, honestly. We tried lots of medications, we'll keep trying, but this one's a little better. Yeah, see how that's smooth? You still see the triangle, but not as bad. And that's nice and smooth. This guy actually might have started eating. He's got a little bit more definition to him than the others. Again, on camera, I don't know if it's showing up, but his belly's actually fairly smooth. This guy might pull through. Looks a lot better than those other ones. Last one here. That's encouraging. I'm glad to see one that at least one is probably eating. Whoa. Yeah, this guy's pretty sunken as well. You can see all the definition there. Less than the first ones, though. So this is not as good as the last one we saw, but he's not as bad as those first few. But he's still sunken in. So I don't know if that showed up well. I don't know if that came across clearly on camera, but just trying to show you not just what the good ones look like, but also what to watch out for. If your pleco's not doing well and you do a health check, if it's sunken all the way down the fish, not just on the belly region, and so far that you start seeing structure, like the belly's laying on top of the internal structure, you can see the definition of that, all the little lines and stuff. That's when you know you actually have a problem. So anyway, I guess we're going to end on that note. Thanks everyone for watching. Hopefully that was educational. Sorry if it was a bummer for some people. I get that. The good news is, of all the fish we have, this is the only group we have that's dealing with that issue. Everyone else is coming through and doing well. So that's the good news. It's not a frequent thing, but it does occasionally happen. Pardon me. Usually we're able to, doctor them up and get them to recover. And again, we're going to keep working on these guys, but that's a true issue right there. That's a problem, what we just saw. Anyways, let's try to end this cheerily. Thanks for coming along for the video. I hope you saw something you liked. I hope you saw something you've never seen before to tickle your imagination. If you want to join us live, we do a live stream every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. That's 9 Eastern. And you can talk with us live, ask questions, or just chat. We'd love to see you there. And yeah, until next time, I hope you have a good one. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.